بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hadith number 240 of Umdatul Ahkaam. Jabir ibn Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, narrated that we came with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam pronouncing talbiyah for hajj, and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam commanded us to make our ihram into that of umrah. Question: what were they performing?
They were performing hajj ifrad.
They were performing hajj al-ifrad. How did you know?
Because the hajj ifrad has got no umrah in it.
It has the answer in the hadith. He said, we pronounced talbiyah for hajj. If they were doing tamattu', he would have said, we pronounced the talbiyah for umrah to the hajj. And if they were having the intention of qiran, they would say, we offered or pronounced the talbiyah for umrah. Telling us, Jabir, may Allah be pleased with him, is telling us that we pronounced the talbiyah of hajj. The Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, make it umrah. So now it changed from hajju ifrad into hajju tamattu', because they will make their umrah, cut their hair, wear the normal clothes, do everything that needs to be done. Moving on to the following hadith. Hadith number 241, narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father. He said that when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the companions reached Mecca, assuming ihram for hajj, on the 4th day of Dhul Hijjah, the Prophet ordered them sallallahu alaihi wasallam to perform umrah with that ihram instead of hajj, meaning that their ihram is for hajj. So the Prophet told them, flip it into umrah. They asked, O Prophet of Allah, what kind of finishing the ihram after we finish umrah? That the Prophet said, finish the ihram completely, meaning return back to your halal state, as if you did not offer ihram, meaning everything can go. Of course, everything that is halal. Huh? One hears this and says, you can do everything you did not do when you were muhrim. So I can drink, I can smoke. No, these are haram things. We're talking about the things that are restricted for a muhrim to do. And this hadith, we learned that when they arrived to Mecca, it was the 4th of the Hijjah, so they had about 4 days of living normal life, not in the state of ihram. And the following hadith, hadith 242, this was narrated by Urwah ibn Zubayr, may Allah have mercy on his soul. He said, Usama, may Allah be pleased with him, Usama ibn Zayd, was asked in my presence, how was the speed of the camel of the Prophet ﷺ while departing from Arafat during the Hajjatul Wada'? Usama replied, the Prophet ﷺ proceeded on with a modest pace, and when there was enough space, he would make his camel go very fast. Now, what do we understand from this? We understand that the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is not to in moving from one place to the other on the account of others. As we see the people nowadays in Hajj, we see people trying to push one another, trying to reach their destination ahead of others, as if this is what Hajj is all about. And this is wrong. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, pushing forcefully during Hajj is not part of piety. It is not part of piety to be the first. The first is the one who Allah accepted his Hajj. And that is why from Arafah to Muzdalifah, when the sun sets, people move, all of them in their millions, from Arafah to Muzdalifah. Usama ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, explains to us and describes to us how the Prophet used to ride his camel. He said the Prophet used to ride in a very slow pace. Why? Because of the crowd. And the minute there was an opening and there is no crowd, he used to let go for the camel to run quickly or to run in a fast pace. But whenever there were people, ignorant people are in Hajj. Nowadays, only few vehicles are allowed to come in Hajj. And unfortunately, the way they drive is reckless. They're surrounded by hundreds of thousands and millions of pilgrims, yet they drive as if they own the road. Likewise, those on motorcycles, they do not pay any attention. They might harm someone, they might run over someone, they might hit someone. All of this for the cause of reaching Muzdalifah ahead of the people. And then what? This is Hajj. You're supposed to get closer to Allah, not to do these things that harm others. Now in the following hadith, hadith number 243, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the Prophet ﷺ stopped during the farewell pilgrimage at Mina for people who had something to ask. So the Prophet in that occasion designated some time to answer the people's queries and questions. A man came and said, "O Prophet of Allah, I didn't notice I shaved before sacrificing." The Prophet said, ﷺ, "Now sacrifice the animal and there's no harm on you." Another man came up and said, "O Prophet of Allah, I did not notice I sacrificed before throwing the pebbles." The Prophet said, ﷺ, "Throw the pebbles and there is no ask about anything which had been done before or after its proper time." But he said, "Do it and no harm is there for you." Now, the Prophet was asked about the actions on what day? On the day of An-Nahr, on the day of slaughtering, on the day of Eid. Now you have to learn the sequence, the order. You go to Mina on Yom At-Tarwiyah, which is the 8th of the Hijjah. What is the meaning of Yom At-Tarwiyah? It's the day that the people prepare for Arafah, Muzdalifah and Mina by watering their camels. So Tarwiyah meaning watering their camels. So they make their camels full of water so that it would not need to drink. They go and pray 5 times or 5 prayers. This is the Sunnah in Mina. They pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha and Fajr of Arafah. They shorten the prayers. So Dhuhr, Asr and Isha are prayed 2 rak'ahs, 2 rak'ahs. Combined? No. They pray each on time. After Fajr, they go to Arafah. And after Dhuhr, they enter Arafah and they spend the day there, supplicating, making dhikr. They pray Dhuhr and Asr combined at the time of Dhuhr. 2 rak'ahs, Dhuhr, 2 rak'ahs Asr, with an adhan and iqamah for both. And moves to Muzdalifah, which is not very far away. It's walking distance, but it would take you sometimes like 35-40 minutes, depending on the pace you're walking. And they spend the night in Muzdalifah, but as soon as they arrive, they pray Maghrib 3 rak'ahs and they join Isha to it, whether they come before Isha or after Isha. But they have to pray it combined, and they should not delay it until the middle of the night, because if they are on the road and it's close to middle of the night, they must pray it wherever they are, even if they did not reach Muzdalifah. Once they reach Muzdalifah, the Sunnah is to spend the night there and to rest, because the following day they have a lot of things, a lot of activities to do. Once they pray Fajr, they leave. Can they leave before Fajr? Only for the women and the children. The Prophet gave permission for the elderly, for the women, for the children, and for the men accompanying them. So if I have my wife, I don't tell my wife, you go, I'm strong, I will stay. No, I have to go and accompany my wife. So they leave and reach Mina. The first thing they begin with is throwing the pebbles. How many pebbles? This is what we'll find after the break, so stay tuned. And welcome back. So on the day of Eid, the first day after you leave from Muzdalifah back to Mina, you throw only 7 stones. How big is the stone? Is it a big rock, 7 pieces, or it's a very tiny thing that cannot be seen? Scholars say it should be like this. It's like the seed of dates, for example, or a little bit smaller. So you throw it in the what is known as Jamaratul Aqabah al-Kubra, which is the closest to Mecca and the furthest from Mina. We have al-Sughra, al-Wusta, al-Kubra, the smallest, the medium, and the largest. After you throw it, the sunnah is to slaughter. This is the sequence. If you are mutamatti' or qarin, you have to slaughter your hadi. After you slaughter, you shave. And by shaving, you become halal. You can immediately go, shower, put your shirts, put your trousers, wear whatever you wish. Everything for a muhrim for intimacy with the wife. This cannot take place until you go and offer tawaf al-ifadah and sa'i al-hajj. And what is the ruling on tawaf al-ifadah? It is mandatory. It is a pillar of the hajj. If you don't offer it, your hajj is invalid. Even if you stand in Arafat and do everything except the tawaf, this is a pillar that must be performed. Once you offer the tawaf and you make the sa'i, your hajj is complete. Now you can do everything, even intimacy with the missus. This is all permissible. You have to, though, spend the following 2 nights minimum and maximum 3 nights in Mina, where every day after the adhan of Dhuhr, I go and throw the pebbles. 7 at the small, 7 at the medium, and 7 at the big one. Every day. Where do I collect the stones? From anywhere. You find it in Mina. As you walk, you pick it up and you throw. And you say Allahu Akbar with every throw you throw it. And do I have to hit the pillar itself, or is it enough just to fall? 7 for each one, and then you spend the night also praying Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr. You shorten the 4 rak'ahs into 2 rak'ahs, but you do not combine. Do I offer any sunnah for Maghrib, for Isha, for Dhuhr, before and after? The answer is no. Whenever you shorten prayer, you skip the sunnahs of Dhuhr, Maghrib, and Isha. But you maintain and observe sunnah of Fajr, night prayer, witr, etc. And the final thing you do after you finish your hajj is you have to offer the farewell tawaf, and this we will come inshallah to mention later on. Hadith number 244. This hadith was narrated by Abu Abdurrahman ibn Yazid. He said, I performed hajj with Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, and saw him throwing the pebbles of the big Jamratul Aqabah with 7 small pebbles, keeping the Kaaba on his left side and Mina, one whom Suratul Baqarah was revealed, that is the Prophet ﷺ. This is the place where he stood, is to have the Kaaba on your left, Mina on your right, and throw it from this side. Why? Because at the time the back side had a mountain, so this is the only place, or this side you can throw it from. Nowadays, the mountain has been removed and all four sides can be thrown from. The sunnah is to do what Ibn Mas'ud did. But if everybody is focusing on this area and the rest are free and empty and you don't want the crowd, you can throw from any place you wish. Why did Ibn Mas'ud said that this is the place where the one whom Surah Al-Baqarah was revealed to? Because Surah Al-Baqarah contained most of the rulings of Hajj and a lot of it. So that is suitable for him to say that I've seen the Prophet and he, alayhi salam, is the one who Surah Al-Baqarah was revealed to. Okay, we move on to hadith number 245. Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "O Allah, have mercy upon those who get their heads shaved." The companion said, "Prophet of Allah, what?" Repeated, "May Allah have mercy upon those who have their heads shaved." And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam repeated that, and they repeated their inquiry. And what about those who have their hair clipped? The Prophet repeated it 3 times. In the 4th time he said, "And those who have their hair clipped." What is this? This is regarding when a person in the state of ihram is making tahallul. He is making tahallul, meaning that he concluded his ritual, and now the last thing for him to become halal is to either shave or clip his hair. The Prophet ﷺ prayed for them to be, or to have the mercy of Allah 3 times. And in the 4th he said, "And those who clip their hair," meaning cut it short. What do you understand from this? We understand that when you make a umrah, Allah would reward you more if you shave your head, because this is a sign of obedience to Allah. While clipping your hair, cutting it short, nobody would know that you offered umrah. So it is part of showing the people that this is the trace or the sign of my ritual which I did. In an authentic hadith, when the Prophet was explaining alayhi salatu wasalam hajj and the virtues of it, he said in an authentic hadith to the companion, "As for shaving your head, Allah would reward you with each hair a good deed." So imagine that if you would reward you 100,000 good deeds, 100,000 hasana, and if you have more, it's more. And therefore, usually people try their best to get their hair shaved, to get their head shaved, and therefore this is the sunnah. Nevertheless, Allah's mercy did not only restrict this sunnah for those who shave, but also those who cut short their hair or clip their hair. How should we clip their hair if we want to clip it? A lot of the Muslims make a general mistake. After they finish Umrah, they do this and this. That's it. No, clipping the hair has to be from the whole of head. So you have to cut short all of your head, not only a part of it or a side of it. So shaving is for the whole head. Likewise, clipping or cutting short should be from all sides of the head. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Sheikh, can the person after completing his hajj make his salah 4 to 2? He can say, "I'm a traveler, that's why I can pray my salah as 2 for the Zohar and others." When he completes his hajj and later he is staying there for...
As long as he's a traveler, he can pray 2 rak'ahs as long as he's staying in Mecca and he's still a traveler. However, the rule is, even if you're a traveler, if you hear the adhan in the masjid, you must pray where the adhan is being called. And hence, if you're a traveler and you pray in the masjid, you will eventually complete your prayers. So even if you finish hajj and you stay in Mecca, or go to Jeddah, or go to Taif, or go to Medina, you're still considered to be a traveler and you can shorten prayer. But if you hear the adhan, you're obliged to respond and then you would not be able to shorten prayer. But in cases that you did not hear the adhan, you overslept and woke up, then you can shorten prayer as long as you are a traveler.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
I wanted to know that is there out of the three types of hajj, which type of the hajj has the most fazilat?
We've mentioned this before and said that the best of hajj is tamattu and hajj separate. Then follows that qiran, which is having the umrah embedded in the hajj with a sacrifice. And the last and third is al-ifrad, which has no umrah and it has no hadi obligatory, but if you want to offer hadi, this is up to you.
Sheikh, why do we have to make intentions loudly?
Intention is not said loudly. We've stated this before, that a talbiyah is different than the intention. A talbiyah is a form of dhikr. You say labbaik Allahumma labbaik labbaik la sharika laka labbaik to the end. If I wear my ihram and I do not say talbiyah, is my umrah or hajj correct? The answer is yes. What is important is my intention. By assuming the state of ihram, and everything that is forbidden and restricted for a muhrim is now restricted for me. We've stated that scholars differed whether it is mandatory or sunnah, and it is most likely to be mandatory in the sense that no one has ever left saying it, and this is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But it appears that if someone does not say it, he is not obliged to slaughter a sheep, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time. Fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.